welcome to Independent Chick. I'm your host, Dana Foster, and today we are talking about fitness, how to work on body image. We're also going to be making some pierogies. I'm really excited about this. And also, how do you be single? We'll find out later on in the show, but right now we're talking with fitness model and expert. Is that your title? Mm-hmm. We're talking with Susan. She's going to tell us a little bit about your story. Now, you grew up in Uganda in a refugee camp.
I grew up in Uganda, and I grew up in a refugee camp in Kenya, and we immigrated to Canada, Winnipeg, and I grew up in housing. And
how old were you when you moved to Canada?
About 10 years old.
10 years old. So you had grown up at this refugee camp, experiencing
hardship, yes.
Life. Now, then you came to Winnipeg. How was that transition for you?
The culture shock,
yeah.
Right? Most definitely. The environment, people, learning the language was very difficult.
Because it's not your first language.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I speak 3 languages.
Oh my goodness.
Swahili, Luganda, and English.
So what was the biggest struggle for you coming to Canada?
Adapting to the culture.
Yeah.
Right.
And how did you cope with that?
Well, I'm used to more like a community setting compared to individual. Like the Canadian way is more individualized, not a village taking care of.
Okay.
You know,
so how did you overcome that?
Overcome that? A lot of family support.
Yeah.
My family is very small, so a lot of family support and still practicing our culture.
What are your biggest memories that you have tried to maybe forget or try to get through? What are some of the biggest memories growing up in Manitoba housing and in Uganda?
In Uganda, trying to get through, well, there was so many different, like through starvation, through like environmental, the structure, the politics, so trying to get over that. But my only escape from back home to here was sports, and it just evolved.
Now, when you came to Canada, you got into fitness and modeling, and do you say that that's what sort of saved you and gave you a new self-confidence?
Yes.
Yeah. How did you get involved in that?
Just through, I've always been involved in sports, so just through sports, learning like team dynamic, individualistic, self-confidence, I was able to adapt it into so many different areas of my life.
What advice would you give to other women that are going through hardships? I know that you do work with a lot of homeless people within Manitoba as well. What sort of advice do you give them in encouraging them to continue to go on and change their lives for a positive life?
Just to find something that makes you feel good. If it's either walking, body awareness is really huge, right? In order for us to feel good about ourselves, we have to engage, think positively.
Power stances?
Yes.
You would know about that with fitness modeling.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your fitness modeling?
Well, there's a lot of conditioning that's involved, proper eating.
How much work do you have to put in your body?
Ooh, it's all choice, like everything else, right? McDonald's, vegetables, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, McDonald's, vegetables.
How do you plan, when you're fitness modeling, what would a day like be for you eating and working out?
A day eating, well, it's very structured. There's 6 meals a day, lots of water, less sugar, no salt, about, 2 hours in the gym, depending, cardio, weightlifting.
So tell me a little bit about this meditation that you do. Why do you meditate?
To clear my mind, to check in whatever environment I'm going into and stay positive, right? Because it's easy to fall into negative thinking. So I like just taking a moment, being still.
I get like that sometimes. You get into that negative headspace. How do you pull yourself out of it? Is there any steps that you use?
Remembering my purpose, right? So my purpose is to be happy, to be grateful. There's so many things we can be grateful for on a day-to-day basis, right? Like good health, proper eating, just awareness, checking in. Yes.
You, I would assume, have a lot to do with encouraging other women to be confident. What do you tell women most about becoming more confident in their lives?
Check in.
Check in.
Check in.
What does that mean?
As in, you know, sometimes we go into like negative spirals, like we're not good enough. So just, you know, why am I feeling like this? How can I make it better? What do I need to do? How can I get away from it? Do I need to go for a walk? Should I read? Should I go to the gym? Finding something that makes us happy to engage in. Like, could it be reading? All sorts of things, writing.
Yeah. So what are your plans for the future? So you have the modeling and you have the fitness, and you worked for some impressive photographers. We're going to throw some of the photos up, but just amazing photos, really beautiful.
Thank you. My plan for the future is to continue doing humanitarian work, working in undeveloped countries, sports related, right? Feel good, look good. And to continue modeling and competing in fitness competitions.
What are you most passionate about in life?
Oh, 3. Yes, engaging, connecting with people, being in front of the camera, and taking care of myself and setting goals to be on stage, healthy living.
All right.
Yeah.
Piece of advice for women as we wrap things up. What would you give? What advice would you give to women?
Just find something that you love, get out there, and just do it.
Okay.
Writing, walking, just do it.
Get to it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back in just a bit. We're going to be making some pierogies, so stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.